Hello again, I'm Christina, and in the previous video I talked about my accident and how I broke my femur, and now I'm gonna talk about the admission in the hospital. The admission in the hospital is kind of a blur, mainly because of the drugs, but also because I was keeping my eyes shut most of the time as a coping mechanism. So the accident was at about 3:45 in the morning, and my Aura ring shows me asleep between 5 and 10, so I'm guessing 5 a.m. is the time when we got to the hospital and they pumped me with morphine, and 10 it's when they took the ring off to do the full body scan. I wasn't asleep though, but I think the drugs calmed my breathing and my pulse so much that the ring thought I was asleep. But no, I was on and off. But I do remember talking to the doctors and being moved a lot. They were taking me to do all these x-rays and body scans. They did a full body scan on me to confirm that my brain, my spine, and my organs are okay. And the x-rays confirmed that I had proximal femur fracture on my right leg, a tibial plateau fracture on my left leg. I had a left broken thumb, inferior pubic ramus fracture, and subtle non-displaced fractures of both hip sockets. They told me they have to pull my leg, and that is when I freaked out because I remembered how awfully it hurt when they moved me onto the stretcher. They reassured me that I won't feel anything because they will give me ketamine. And indeed, I didn't feel any pain, but I did realize they were handling me. Now, a lot of painkillers get you high, but ketamine is a whole different game. I had this mind-blowing trip. You know how hospitals have that squared tiled ceiling with the grainy look? Well, those grains started churning and I was somehow disintegrating into them because somehow that was our original state, like a primordial material that all the world was made of. And I felt sad that my consciousness left my body and now is gonna be forever trapped in this grainy thing, and eternity will be really boring. I don't know how long I was in that state. It felt quite fast for me, but I remember snapping out of it and started to see people take shape around me, and I felt relieved, but I couldn't help but thinking that maybe this is what dying feels like. Other snippets of what I remember in no specific order. How they asked me what my blood type is, and I was really satisfied to tell them, thinking that maybe we would save some time, but they went ahead and did the test anyway. How they asked me if I could be pregnant, and I said no, but then I realized that that was actually the first month that we started trying. They tested me, and luckily I wasn't pregnant. How I watched as they gave me a nerve block. I actually saw on a screen how a big needle was approaching my femoral nerve. It was painful. How they stapled my head laceration. I think I had 6 or 8 staples. At some point, someone came and asked me if I knew I had COVID, and I told them that's impossible because they were testing us on the movie set and I was negative. But yeah, their test in the hospital showed otherwise, and I thought it's not a big deal because I didn't have any symptoms, but actually it had some pretty unfortunate implications. I remember the doctors describing how the surgery will go. They said they were gonna fix my femur first, and they described the whole operation. They said it's gonna last 4 hours and that I'm gonna have a cut at the hip and one at the knee. They said they will fix the tibia in the coming days. They even asked me what type of anesthesia I want, and of course I chose general. My partner was called at around 6 in the morning. When the accident happened and I was still on the pavement, someone from the movie crew, I think, asked me if I want them to call my partner then or when we got to the hospital, and I wanted to spare him that awful sight, and I said when we got to the hospital. So he got at the hospital at 6:30, and at 9 a doctor finally came and talked to him, told him all my injuries, and at noon he was allowed to see me, and by that time my sister and her partner got there also. When they saw me, I was very high and very chill. I even told them to go in the vacation we planned in Tenerife. It was in a week's time. They weren't very amused. I could see on their faces how scared they were. My sister was so nervous she couldn't stop talking. At one point, a doctor had to shush her. She couldn't believe that they didn't wipe the blood off my face. Like, that was the least of their concerns. I think they wiped me after the surgery. Finally, at around 2 p.m., they took me in the operating room. The last thing I remember is that I was so thirsty and I asked them to wipe my lips with a wet tissue, and I was just grabbing the tissue and sucking water out of it. That's it for now. I will continue the story in a different video. If you have questions, write them in the comments and like and subscribe, otherwise these videos won't show up in people's searches. Bye!